In this video, I will prove to you that even if you are a beginner in Spanish, you can start reading things in Spanish from day one. Now, if I fulfill my promise and you find that this video is really helpful for your experience, then I want to invite you to get a Spanish comprehension course for beginners that my native Spanish speaking friend Becky and I created at comprehendspanish.com. It will 10x the value of this video that you're watching right now. And we say, give us one day and we'll give you the confidence, the mindset, and the skill set to start comprehending Spanish at comprehendspanish.com. We want you to get that transformation. Now, I want you to see the featured content. So I want to start off by talking about the two different types of language learners. And I was sharing with people that are beginners in Spanish different pictures. And I had a question for them. And that was, what is this picture saying in Spanish? And these are people that were not necessarily trying to learn Spanish, and they have basically a basic knowledge of Spanish. And so I want to share those pictures with you, and maybe you can share with me what's being said in these pictures. All right, so this is the first one. Okay, so it was interesting what people would do. And you might want to pause the video. If you're looking at this on the replay, pause the video right now and trying to figure out that picture without Google Translate or without anything, and look and see, what does that picture say. So what would happen is people would typically get that the top part where it says devocional was devotional, because that's very similar in English, so they got that. And I would also then ask them, after they looked around at the image for a time, I would ask them, okay, well, what does the middle part say? And that's where it got a little bit more, I think, challenging for people. And so some people would get part of it, but then they might have not known the whole context or the whole I shouldn't say, I just use the word context. That's the second type of language learner. But they would maybe get some words, but they might not have gotten enough to really understand the total meaning of what was said, or the general meaning of what was being written. And so that's what I want to talk to you about. There are two ways, I believe, to approach language learning, and those ways express two different types of mindset. One is, I have to know every single word before I know what is being written in this case, or what is being said. Or the other mindset is, I need to understand the context to be able to understand what is being said. And I'm going to come in here with not a I don't know mindset, but how can I mindset. And I think the how can I mindset is based on Philippians 4 verse 13 that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengtheneth me. So with the how can I mindset is not to really come in thinking about everything I don't know. Is to look at, I want to maximize my language learning experience by thinking about every single thing I do know. I want to focus on what I can do. So what can I do? If I look at this picture with the how can I mindset, what I can do from day one is try to find any single word that I do know, because there might be words that I may not know as a beginner, right? So one of the common words, I would say that many people, I would say many, but beginners of Spanish, especially if they're in the United States, know is cinco. Okay, because you have uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco. So even if you know that word, then that is helping you to know that this has something to do with numbers, because cinco means 5. All right, and then another thing that is important, and this is what I would do when people got a little stuck looking at this picture or this image, I would say, okay, if there's no words on this picture, what would this picture be about? What would you think about this? And then people start looking at the picture, because this is the thing, if you have the how can I mindset, then what will happen is you can be able to say, how can I understand this more than maybe I understand right now, but from the words, how can I increase my comprehension of what is being written than from the comprehension I have right now? So what can you do to maximize that? I can use a picture to help me understand the context of the words. And that's something people can do from day one. And that's what is really exciting about talking about this mindset. And so if you look at the picture, then you can see, okay, well, this is a picture of Jesus and other people. And then if you look at it pretty detailed, you can see that it has something to do with bread. It has something to do with food. And then you have that number 5. So you have this picture about bread, this picture about Jesus with food, and you have the number 5. And so some people that understand the context of Bible stories, remember they're bringing into language learning the knowledge of a story, a Bible story, then they can understand that this is talking about the feeding of 5,000. Even if they just knew one word, and even if they didn't know any words, they could get the context from using something they already had, which was a knowledge of a picture. And then especially if they have the knowledge of the Bible story as well. So I want to go into another picture, and we'll see this how can I mindset as well. And so again, when I was asking different people about this, they could get devotional, but then I would ask them again, okay, well, what about the middle of the picture? Can you tell me anything about the middle of this picture, and what are the words? What are those words saying? Now, one word that's kind of easy is Jesus or Jesus. That would be one of those words. But then the other words can be a little bit difficult, potentially, for someone that is trying to say, okay, well, what do all these words mean? Because that some of these words are not, like you could say, beginner words. But I believe that you can come into language learning, even if you're a beginner, you can come in with like an expert mindset. And I believe one of the expert mindset is, again, how can I understand more than I do right now? How do you do that? Got to focus not only on the words, but focus on the overall context of those words. How do I do that? I look at the pictures, and I claim the promise of Philippians 4 verse 13 that says, I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. So you look at that picture, and you just imagine the picture without words. And then especially if you know one word. I mean, if you know Jesus or Jesus, and you look at this picture, you see it's a picture of these sandals or these feet on water, a picture of someone walking on water, Jesus walking on water. You get the context of what the words are saying. And I remember talking to someone and going through this, and then there's someone else that was by that person, a child, and that person said, yeah, this is Jesus walking on water. So that's not the exact literal translation of this, but it's very close to those words. And so they're getting, that person got the context, and I was like, yes, you're on the right track, and I was really happy about that. So I want to show you another picture, and this one is another one. So let's say that if you try to understand the middle again, you might understand one of those words, Jesus. Let's say you don't know anything else really, or you don't know hardly anything else. You look at the picture, you see Jesus, you see this storm, and Jesus is in this boat, and then if you look at another word after looking at the picture, not really focusing on the words, then you see a word that looks very similar to the word calm. It just has an A after the English word calm. And then it's easier to think, okay, well, this is about Jesus calming the storm. And that's what the words are talking about in Spanish. But, you're not just focusing on the words. And I think that sometimes we get so bogged down with words, and I would say especially as beginners, that you forget the overall context, or we can forget the overall context, and then think that if I don't understand 100% of what is being written, I don't know anything. And so it's so easy to say I don't know. It's more difficult to say how can I know more, but you learn more. You get further in your language learning goals with what I call the how can I mindset. Let's look at another picture. And this one is, again, you have that word Jesus. Let's say that's all you knew initially. Jesus. Well, honestly, paralytico is very close to paralytic. So you have Jesus, you have paralytic, and then you see this person that is lying down. It's looking like there's like this rope, and you can kind of think about the Bible story with the paralytic and the rope and all that. If you remember those Bible stories, that can help in knowing what those words are about, and that's actually powerful. And so the cool thing about all these pictures is all of the pictures had a similar theme, and they had a theme that was talking about the miracles of Jesus. And so when you are not only being able to look at individual pictures, but then you have a wider context from from a certain theme, from the in this case this biblical theme, it gives you an understanding of framework. So you could think, okay, well, if I show another picture that is similar to these pictures, you can already think, okay, it might be a picture of the miracles of Jesus, right? You can just kind of anticipate that based on the four pictures I had already shown. And then when you have that mindset and that context, then you're already getting kind of prepared for what the words might mean. This is what I was reading today. It says the words are more than an indication of character. They have power to react upon the character. Men are influenced by their own words. And this is coming from The Voice and Speech and Song. Really like that book. And it's important in many different ways. It's important in a language learning context. It's important in a life context. We can come and say, I don't know what is being said. It's so easy to say something like that. But other people will come in there and say, how can I understand more? And so one method is you just say, and start just really looking at your disadvantages and looking at your limitations and focusing on that, while other people are going to focus on everything they can do. Other people are going to focus on every opportunity they have. And those people, the second category, the people that have the how can I mindset, those people are going to be the ones that are going to get further. And even in how, so it's important not only to think like that, but also how we speak about our experience, and then also how we share that with others as well. And so we can come into language learning day one having, even though we're a beginner, having an expert mindset, and then trusting that the Lord can help us. Like it says in Philippians 4 verse 13, I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me.